CBD has become really popular, and people are claiming that it can help athletes perform better, recover better, and that it may have some mental benefits for athletes. But what does the research show? Does it actually help athletes in the way we think it does? In this video, I'm going to do a quick recap of what CBD is. Then we'll look at how it affects the body and why people think this may help athletes. Then we'll look at actual research on athletes and if there's any evidence that it does work as expected. And we'll also look at how it can affect the mental side of everything and how that may benefit athletes. Then, if you did want to take it, what are the dosages they use in the research? And lastly, we'll touch on doping issues because there are a few things you should be aware of if you're planning to take CBD. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Marika. I'm one of the physiotherapists from sportsinjuryphysio.com, where you can get online physiotherapy assessment as well as treatment for your injuries. Have a look at the description of this video if you want a link to our website. CBD is short for cannabidiol. Cannabidiol. I always struggle to say it. And it's extracted from the cannabis plant. Now, it's not the compound in the plant that makes you hallucinate or puts you on a trip. That's THC. And cannabidiol is legal in some countries, illegal in other countries, and in some countries it's only legal if the amount of THC in the CBD you take is below a certain level. It can be taken in tablet form, it can be mouth spray, drops, or even vaped. So how does CBD affect the body? In 2023, a group of researchers wanted to see what characteristics does CBD oil hold that may actually benefit athletes, either because they will recover more quickly or perhaps it can help them perform better. And they identified 4 things. The first was that CBD has an anti-inflammatory effect. Now, whenever we exercise, our bodies sustain micro damage through the exercise, and then there's an inflammatory response after the session that helps repair this micro damage and makes you stronger later on. But if it's an excessive inflammatory response, that may cause trouble. So maybe an anti-inflammatory response could help an athlete recover better. Then it also has pain relief properties. So CBD seems to interfere with the pain signal as it's taken up to the brain. And if you have less pain, it can also help you perform better, or it can perhaps help you recover from things like DOMS more easily or more quickly. Then, with regards to muscle repair and growth, there is evidence that CBD can actually help with muscle repair and stimulate that, so that's a positive thing. And then lastly, also, we know these days how important sleep is for recovery, and CBD has been shown to help with sleep quality and allow people to sleep better. So all of this sounds really positive for athletes, but does it actually work like that in practice? We know, for instance, from the research on ice baths, that ice baths also have an anti-inflammatory reaction for the body. But it was actually found that if you do regular ice baths after every strength training session, it can interfere with your strength gains. So we now understand that ice baths have a use, but only in very specific situations. By the way, if you want more info on that, I've made a whole video about that. I'll link to that in the description here. So when the researchers looked for research on actual athletes in CBD, they really couldn't find much. And they concluded that actually they can't make any recommendations at this point because there really just aren't enough studies yet. So for the moment, the jury is out. We do not know if these potential benefits that we've identified is actually beneficial for athletes. Let's for one moment say that, okay, worst case scenario, CBD doesn't actually help physical recovery. It might do, we don't know yet, but let's just pretend that it doesn't help for that. Then there's always the mental properties that it has, the fact that it can help reduce anxiety and stress that could be useful for an athlete. So there is research to show that CBD can help you sleep better, so fewer nightmares. It can reduce the production of stress hormones like cortisol, and it can help with serotonin transfer in the brain, which is your happy hormones basically. So it can help you reduce your stress in that way. However, again, the research on athletes is missing or lacking. We've not done any research about that yet, so we can't say that it helps athletes definitely. Also, One could argue that a certain amount of stress before a race can actually help you perform better. But obviously, it's not useful if it paralyzes you because you're so stressed out. Or afterwards, if you're struggling to sleep and you know you've got to perform again tomorrow, it might be a useful thing to use to just help you sleep better at that point. Personally, I always feel that if you can teach yourself other ways to deal with stress, that there are techniques and things that you can get yourself calmed down, or you can perhaps have better habits throughout the day to help you sleep better, that may be a better long-term solution than taking a substance for it. But I also totally understand that that's not always possible. So this may be something to use. It is always worth checking with your doctor as well if you do plan to use it for those types of things. If you still feel like you want to give CBD a go and you want to try it, how much should you use of the stuff? Well, we don't have clear guidance on it yet, but what they seem to have found was that 300 milligrams of CBD worked better than either 150 or 600 milligrams when it came to reducing stress and anxiety. And for controlling inflammation, they used 10 milligrams of CBD per kilogram of body weight per person. But like I said, this is not from research on athletes, this is from general population, and we don't know how that would respond in athletes. Just a quick note on doping. If you're an athlete who gets tested for drugs or drug use because you're competitive and you're competing at a high level, or you're just a regular person who actually gets tested for drugs at work, you need to be careful of CBD because it's difficult to extract only CBD from the cannabis plant, and sometimes apparently if they mistake what part of the plant they use, you can have really high levels of THC in your CBD, and then your urine levels of THC can be higher than the threshold, and that can cause trouble. You can get yourself banned. And the doping agencies for the UK, Australia as well as USA all say they don't have any leniency if you're above that threshold. It doesn't matter if it was not your fault, because how can they prove it? It might be that actually you did do it on purpose. So really, really make sure that you use a reputable brand and that you check with them whether they frequently test their product, that it doesn't have too high levels of THC. Brilliant. Hope you found that useful. Now, it is a bit frustrating that there's no clear answers, and I really, really hope that I can come back in a couple of years' time, that there's more research that's been done, and that I can give you some better guidance and some more specific answers to all of this. In the meantime, remember, if you need more help with an injury, you're welcome to consult one of the team via video call. The link to the website is in the description of this video. Take care.